What's up guys, Zoan here, back here with another video. In today's video, we're doing some more gaming content, giving you guys another video on Sonic Frontiers and how it's receiving mixed impressions by critics, as well as the more gameplay and story details that we managed to receive. Summer Game Fest had these Playday events that were happening, and where people were able to play 30 minutes of Sonic Frontiers. So far, what we got, it seems that the impressions from people have been pretty mixed, especially critics. We're going to be diving into 4 different articles and what they said, and I'll be giving my opinions on what they said, and I'll give you guys my thoughts. First article comes from Ars Technica, and they actually managed to give a positive review, but also went through some bugs that they hope that are fixed. So let's go through the article. Sonic Frontiers delivers fresh ideas that Sonic's 3D pantheon has sorely lacked for decades. In my brief time with the game, I can already tell that Sega is remixing the Breath of the Wild formula in a way that feels new and Sonic appropriate. So just like I thought, Breath of the Wild is definitely the inspiration that this game has. For some reason, Sega earlier this month was trying to say that this game is different from other open world games, and I just really don't see what differences this game has than others. The game still looks unpolished compared to other open world fare from the past 5 years. Quote-unquote pop-in is set to an aggressive level, meaning that distant objects don't appear on screen until Sonic is quite close, which looks weird in a high-speed Sonic game. Mid-air hops between platforms were made terribly difficult by a mix of unoptimized camera adjustment, a lacking lighting system, and entirely absent shadows. In these jumps, I often lost all sense of perspective, a problem that was solved in the 3D platforming explosion of the 90s. So yeah, it seems like there's a lot of bugs that still could be fixed and a lot of unpolishedness around the game. Seems like pop-ins are still a problem when it comes to this game. Obviously, when we got the new footage, it didn't seem that big of an issue, but it seems like in the Summer Game Fest play event, it seemed like it was still an issue for the game. I mentioned those complaints because I truly do not know how much can be chalked up to press-only behind-closed-door demo limitations. The word janky became a course among members of the press during the event, and seemingly everyone I spoke to described their own eyebrow-raising moments while playing the game. It's not done yet, and I've seen iffy pre-release demos of games that turned out brilliantly, so the above complaints are not final review judgments. Still, if Sega's new game is indeed going to make its 2022 release window, either the devs have a much more polished experience hiding in Sonic Team headquarters, or we're going to see this game launch with some of these issues intact. Sega reps insisted that Sonic Frontiers is still committed to launching at year's end. So yeah, he points out all the bugs and all the unpolishedness that this game has, but he does think that there is a more polished build of this game already, despite the one that he played. And Sonic Frontiers' open world environment is filled with clearly readable points of interest, which arguably benefit by being the only neon colored items in an otherwise drab world. The object of the game is to unravel a mystery that has, among other things, sent Sonic's good friends to alternate dimensions, and they can only communicate to him in his current world as holograms. So we just got some massive story details here. So, as we knew earlier, it seems like Tails and Amy are going to be a part of this game's story, and it seems like they're going to appear in cutscenes as holograms. I'm assuming they just come out of nowhere in terms of cutscenes wise, like in terms of how Tails and Amy appear in their holograms, I'm assuming they just come out of nowhere. A few of Sonic Frontiers' systems brazenly crib from Breath of the Wild, with the biggest being a circular stamina meter. Instead of pausing and spin dashing to build up speed in a pinch, Sonic can now simply tap a gamepad trigger at any time to give his running speed a nitro boost, and the stamina meter impacts how much Sonic can maintain his high speeds when he's either moving straight ahead or running vertically up walls. This is a great series addition that not only keeps Sonic moving, but also encourages players to explore the world in search of increased stamina points. So we just got some massive news here about the gameplay and the fact that there is indeed a stamina meter that Sonic is going to be having here in this game. And the stamina meter is also going to affect when Sonic is able to go in high speeds. I appreciated how easily I comprehended Sonic's selection of abilities, many of which come from 20 years of 3D Sonic games, and I revealed in how the game's smaller reward-filled challenges let me feel like a platforming badass with satisfying super speed runs between each. I like the network of massive grinding rails that serve as high speed warps between previously completed zones. Most importantly, I wanted to keep playing this 3D Sonic game, which is a sentence that I, a fully grown adult, have not typed in a very long time. So it seems like Ars Technica definitely enjoyed and loved their time playing Sonic Frontiers, despite pointing out the bugs and fixes that this game is going to need before release. This article definitely gave us a lot of juicy details, while also pointing out that there's a lot to look forward to in this game. The next article is from Games Radar, and they pointed out how awful of an experience they had while playing this game. Mechanically, visually, and narratively, Sonic Frontiers makes a staggeringly awful first impression. The fact that I've even mentioned narrative in this preview should clue you in as to what caliber of Sonic game we're dealing with here. If this first hands-on demo is anything to go by, Sonic Frontiers looks doomed to join the ranks of the franchise's worst installments. How did we go from such a good positive impression to then this guy saying it's so horrible? There's a lot to go over with this just piece from this article. I mean, this guy literally says this game has potential to be one of the worst Sonic games we've ever had. I personally don't agree with that, especially because from what I've seen, it definitely looks better than Sonic Forces at least, which to me, Sonic Forces is just such a mess Sonic game. From what I've seen so far, it definitely looks like it's going to be better than Sonic Forces and some other games. So I definitely do think this game has potential to at least be higher than something like the worst Sonic game ever. Yes, they are using the Sonic Forces model. Yes, they are using some Sonic Forces assets, but in my opinion, just from what we've seen gameplay-wise, I do think this game is going to be better than Sonic Forces. Combat, for example, mostly focuses on homing attacks and a basic follow-up combo, at least at first. Later on, I spent some skill points in an honest-to-God skill tree in a Sonic game on a side loop move which lets me ensnare stuff with circles of light, but I really only break out the side loop for enemies and puzzles that clearly require it. There are more moves and upgrades to be had, but for now, it's all homing attacks all the time. From what we're hearing, it does seem like the combat doesn't really go as deep as just a homing attack, which is interesting considering we've seen the combat gameplay show us a lot of different moves that you're able to do combat-wise. Armed with this knowledge, I was able to beat the ninja enemy despite the best efforts of a lock-on camera which routinely loses track of targets and dodge roll which can't dodge anything. I couldn't help but notice that the skill tree I mentioned earlier contains an unlock for automatic combos, and I'm beginning to see why you'd want the game to fight for you. Some of Sonic's finishing moves that we've seen so far in the combat gameplay definitely looks automated, but I definitely don't think that necessarily means that most of the combat moves that you're able to unlock in the skill tree, it means that most of the moves you're going to be getting are going to be automated. That's it from Games Radar's first impressions of Sonic Frontiers. They definitely really don't like what they've played. They definitely do think this game has potential to be such a horrible Sonic game, when in my opinion, I think what we've seen so far, I don't think it's going to be one of the worst Sonic games, but hey, everybody has different opinions, and for them, they just really did not have a good experience with this game. Our third article is from Game Informer, and they also have positive things to say about Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers action feels more involved than just buzzsawing through baddies and moving on. A Sentry-like enemy required me to read its attack patterns, dodge its offense using the left and right bumpers, and zip in with the lock-on attack to execute a flurry of attacks before backing off and restarting the process. Pummeling this machine felt satisfying enough, and I enjoyed running circles around it as it tried and failed to keep up with me. This is what I loved to hear for Sonic's combat gameplay, as I do think it's really going to help if we're able to read attack patterns for the enemies. In addition to collecting rings, Sonic also gathers hearts that fill a meter to unlock skill points. Spending these points unlocked new abilities from a tree. The first move available, the Psy-Loop, creates a glowing streak behind Sonic by holding down the triangle and Y button while running. Now, honestly, I want to say this real quick. It's very interesting that the hearts that we've seen in the gameplay are collectibles in this game, and they're used to be able to unlock stuff in the skill tree. Going fast feels great. The Psy-Loop ability seems cool and made me excited to see other powers, and the platforming felt adequate if familiar. However, some of the legacy jank in terms of the unreliable camera and finicky targeting reared its head, albeit infrequently. One thing that all these articles have in common is they do mention how poorly the camera is in this game, and they do hope that it does get fixed. That was it from Game Informer. They really loved what they played, and despite some of the flaws and bugs that they also pointed out, just like Ars Technica, they do still love the product that they were able to play. Our final article is from PC Games, and they do mention that the game is rough. However, they're actually still looking forward to the product that is Sonic Frontiers. This weekend at the Summer Game Fest Playdays event, the closest thing to an E3 convention that happened this year, there was one game that came up in conversation more than anything else at the show: Sonic Frontiers, Sega's answer to the question, what the heck do we do with Sonic now? PC Games then later said on in the article that Sonic Frontiers was really bad. A bit of nothing can be cool in moderation. It's nice to take a breather and watch Sonic grind through a twirly loop for a few seconds, but that describes just about every platforming challenge I came across in my half hour of Frontiers. What I'm getting from this is it's definitely looking like there's a lot of grind rails all over the place, which is definitely something we've all have seen and noticed throughout the gameplay footage that we've managed to get throughout the month so far. However, I will say that it does look like some of these articles are saying that the open world is just absurdly filled with them, to the point where it feels like you're just literally on grind rails a lot in this game. Then I noticed the extreme, almost dizzying motion blur that could not be ignored every time I moved the camera. The blur was so noticeable that I imagined the slider that controls motion blur was overclocked past its maximum. But I can't know because it wasn't adjustable in the demo, and it's also not as noticeable in the clips provided by Sega that appear in this article. I will say if that is the case, I do hope motion blur will be fixed before the final product releases, as I really don't want motion blur to be getting in the way. The last bug I encountered turned out to be a false alarm. In the middle of a dialogue between Sonic and Amy, the game suddenly faded to black, revealing moments later that an invisible timer had expired and my time with Sonic Frontiers was over. Little did Sega know it programmed an appropriately abrupt and confusing end to an equally confounding and video game demo. That's all of the 4 articles I'm going to be going over in this video. Very interesting to see all the details we managed to get. I mean, we got a lot of gameplay details and a lot of story details through these articles. One thing I can say though is that so far, and these are not the only articles that I've released, there's been a bunch of articles talking about Sonic Frontiers and what they played at the Summer Game Fest Playday event. I will say it's definitely looking mixed, but from what I've heard, it does still look like the game has a lot of potential to be a very good Sonic game. So yeah guys, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Make sure you drop a like down below, drop a comment down below, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos and content coming your way. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.